Would you, like to hit the dining hall, maybe?
An Oblivion gate has opened outside the city of Bruma.
I'll be right back. Well, go ahead and grab a sweet roll and some skooma, because we're about to take down 7 Oblivion gates. At minimum. A couple notes before we head out. Save the game before each sigil stone. If you don't like the enchantment you get, reloading will produce something different until one catches your eye. Also, your allies' health may be an issue during parts of these quests, so I recommend a powerful convalescence spell. I personally ended up really leaning on the backwards power attack with my claymore, as its accuracy helped me avoid friendly fire. As per usual, there are numerous potential bugs, so please save regularly. With that in mind, we are sent to meet up with Captain Bird to help defend the city and show them how to close the gate. I was under the impression that you had to talk to him and have him as a follower to continue the quest, but don't engage and walk away. Although it would seem helpful to have a friend along, his incessant need to fight every single enemy, and his distracting wardrobe change actually made this more difficult. Getting him all the way through to the sigil stone is required if you bring him along, but supposedly if you go on in without him, he'll just appear with you when you get there. Regardless, before getting to the Sigillium Sanguius, you will need to politely remove its key from the keeper, or... Seeing as the Towers of Hell must be constructed with components sourced from Tamriel, you could just pick the average level lock. After closing the portal, Bird will feel pretty confident about handling things from here.
I think my guardsmen and I can handle any new gates.
But they still need to prepare for the upcoming attack. Although you can go straight to Martin and help him by starting Blood of the Divines, an optional quest will open called Allies for Bruma. In this quest, we will be acting on behalf of the city to go around requesting recruits that will one-for-one replace the weaker militia to help defend against the Great Gate. Now, you should probably just skip the Imperial City as the High Chancellor himself is unable to spare any troops. If you wanted to catch up with him anyway, you'll have to literally catch up with him, because as soon as you enter the district itself, he will start to move to a locked back room, so move quickly. Having accomplished nothing, we will now head west up the black road that carves its way through the Great Forest and past some familiar places like the Odil's Farm and Waynin Priory. We will also pass the very gate that Countess Ariana Volga will ask us to close, but we're going to meet up with her first. I found her to the right in the dining area where she eats both breakfast and a late dinner, but you can also find her holding court at her throne from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Coral remains under threat from the Oblivion Gate.
This realm is creatively named Random Oblivion World 2. Although there is not much to find outside of basic loot and abundant alchemy ingredients, someone in my stream tipped me off to some sweet loot hidden here in the tower called the Embers of Hatred. I may have missed it this time, but it will supposedly show up in every world too, so we should go gate hunting soon. Each of these small towers, named after natural disasters, opens up the adjacent wargate to the next section and thus the next tower. Both sides are the same, so it's either right or left. The Hurricane and Earthquake towers will lead you to the right level of the main tower that will get you to the Rending Halls. You do need to reach this level first to be able to close the gate. Once you get here, heading straight will lead you to the Ascending Path and a row of aptly named Citadel guillotine blades. The worst is behind us. Right behind us, apparently, and we can now head up the rest of the tower and take the Sigil Stone. Check back with the Countess and she will express her gratitude and send 2 Coral soldiers to Bruma. Now we go south, straight through the woods, where I got a little carried away with filling out my map. I found some cool spots, a giant Nirnroot plant, and some Oblivion gates. There are 3 directly outside the city, so we should check with the Count to see which one he'd like us to take down first. Turns out I don't know the way to the castle, and I actually need to go back outside to the east of the city, here, where I should have headed north to find the connecting road on the left that leads up to the bridge and their front door. Anyway, Count Janus Hasseldor would not come out for some reason, and I didn't realize that the Argonian Halyertz and the Imperial noble Mercator share the responsibilities of steward, and you're supposed to go to either of them to set up a meeting with the Count. They can both be found in the castle's county hall between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. But instead, I snuck into the Count's private quarters. On Imperial business, of course. Just don't tell Varys. He's got some interesting vibes here in his throne room that match his beautiful eyes.
We've not met.
He seems nice, but clearly doesn't appreciate thoughtful gifts, so I book it. The gate has planted itself atop the Way Shrine of Kinnereth and opens to Random Oblivion World 4, marked by a massive bridge at the entrance, which connects the 2 minor towers that mimic the look of the main tower. But don't be fooled, they do not hold the stone itself. Instead of the Sigillium Sanguius, the Sorrow and Anguish shrines each hold a geared batten that opens one of 2 locks. By the time I got up here, I got a little impatient, so I ended up using my sweet acrobatic skills to hop the extended bridge, as opposed to going back down through the halls of shame to the right door. Turns out you can skip all of this nonsense by taking a little lava damage to go straight to the main tower's island and enter through the south-facing front door. Either way, we must ascend to the top and retrieve the sigil stone. I did end up closing the other 2 gates to appease my conscience, then went back to the city. This time I spoke with Mercator and he brought the Count out to me, where he thanked me, offered up a soldier, and promptly went back to his emo abode. Now we head down the Gold Road, and if you haven't already cleared Kvatch, we completed that quest earlier in episode 2, and you'll have to do that first. For those who are far beyond this, however, you may be shocked to see a city still burning and a Savlian still pantsless. I can't explain either phenomenon, but all the hero of Kvatch must do here is ask, and Mattias will send 1 soldier to add to our defenses.
But you have more than earned our help.
Now we will continue toward the Gold Coast to Anvil, and we'll find their gate sitting on a hill facing the city, its base firmly planted on what used to be the beautiful Way Shrine of Mara. Head right over here through the beautiful courtyard and into the castle. Countess Milona Umbernox typically holds court from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., but the first time I waited, she ran straight behind a locked door, so just reload and you're good. Anvil is overlooked by Random Oblivion World 7, where we immediately notice the main tower atop a steep hill. Getting there will not require the minor towers, but you can go explore them if you're interested in some loot. There's actually many spots you can get to that have no loot at all, but they look super cool and they're pretty fun to explore. As for our mission, you could use acrobatics to hop, skip, and jump up the hill, or simply follow the intended path up trails and through cave systems that will lead you to the front door. The rest is pretty self-explanatory, although you may not get the same tower as I did. This is one of the Oblivion planes that has a randomized sigil keep, and may therefore be different each time you find an Oblivion World 7. Just make sure to never forget that final fleshy chest thing, the punished. I got both my Cursed Bow and Boots of the Silt Runner from one of these. I know we're doing a ton of these and we're going as fast as possible, but it's always worth grabbing. We're back in the castle again, but I once again became impatient, snuck into some more private quarters, and we find the Countess enjoying the sunset on her balcony. Not remotely bothered, she thanks us for our service and offers up 2 Anvil soldiers. Her guards, however, are not so pleased.
Then you pay your fine.
Fresh after being processed, we will now head to Leowin. You should expect a relatively short ride as the dragon flies, otherwise known as the mystical fast travel function. Otherwise, you'll have to travel back the other way on foot, or take a pretend boat ride along the coasts of Valenwood and elsewhere, which would also require FTF. We arrive in Topple Bay, where we can find an abundance of Oblivion gates and buff man crabs. You can expect Count Marius Caro to hold court between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., except on Sundus, where he attends worship at the local chapel from 8 to 10 in the morning.
Go ahead.
After asking for aid, he will mention the gate directly east of the city, which his wife is casually walking past with her bestie? Since they're not offering any help, let's just go on ahead into Oblivion World 3, where we see a bridge stretched out in front of us, pointing to the Sigil Keep and 4 peripheral towers. If you're not interested in direct contact with lava once again, you will need to go through some random caves in either of the Spindle Shrine towers that each lead to a Bloodwell tower, both of which house a set of gate controls on their top floors that open the war gates that lead to the main tower, which is also randomized, just like the one in World 7, so we've probably not gotten the same one. Now we're in and we could get the Sigil Stone. Count Carol will send over 1 Leowin soldier for our assistance, but there's still 1 more gate threatening the city. After taking it down, I'm confronted by Theo James to help him deal with some local trouble, but we're too busy saving the world. I reconsidered the lovely walk and decided to buy a horse. The Green Road is a beautiful ride up the coast of the lower Niben, and after crossing the Larcius River, we will see the Breville Oblivion Gate overlooking the bay. Here in the city's castle, we will find Count Regulus Terentius, who holds court between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. every day. I got attacked by a number of undercover Mythic Dawn operatives throughout my travels in the various cities, but this is the first time they got someone on the inside. Now keep in mind the only person that the Count can send is his guard, Captain Laris, so if she has died at any point, he will not have anyone to send to you. Now we head into Random Oblivion World 1, where we find our main tower right in front of us, but it's blocked by a war gate. Now the proper thing to do would be to head to the top of the Spindle Shrine to activate the gate controls, or to head through the caverns, but I decided to just cheap out and hop around the gate. This is yet another random sigil keep, so you'll never know what you'll get, but either way, it's up, up, up the tower we go until we come to the Sigil Stone. The city is safer, and we have recruited a captain to our cause. We cut straight north, landing once again on the Red Ring Road at this bridge, and on to the Blue Road, which is marked by the Shadenhall sign. We pass their Oblivion Gate and go into the castle to find Count Andal Indaris, who will be here between 8 and 6, but you may not see him between noon and 2 during his lunch break. Now before we start, I decided to buy the Shadenhall house that goes for 15,000 gold, but it can get soft-locked if you accidentally murder the Count's son, so I would highly recommend doing this. Oh, did I mention his son Farwell is stuck in the plains of Oblivion? This bad boy made himself a little faction called the Knights of Thorn, and got most of them killed attempting to storm the gate. Now this is where I finally used a sigil stone, and I enchanted myself a claymore of corrosion to disintegrate enemies' weapons before they attacked the dude that we're babysitting. And I was able to grab superior heal and superior convalescence from the local healer, Otessa? To find her, visit the Great Chapel of RK right here in town.
Well met.
Now we head to the gate, which is conveniently parked outside the Knights of the Thorn Lodge. Ah, the Knights of the Thorn.
Making up stories of epic battles.
Here we'll connect with Aminus Gregory before heading into the unique Shadenhall Oblivion world. Upon entering the gate, we will find ourselves at the top of a hill, which provides a clouded view of the Sigillium Sanguius. Here we find our first fallen knight, and respectfully borrow his gear. Now head down the switchback and into a couple cave systems that have pools of lava inside, so watch out. It will eventually open to the man himself, who will automatically initiate conversation.
Huzzah!
They become followers, the war gates on the bridge open, and you will have to at least keep Farwell alive to finish this side quest. If you decide to jump down the hill, or sneak past them, or even exit the conversation fast enough, they will not follow you, and the gates will remain locked, but supposedly if you can get through the lava and end up closing the plane by yourself, they will just appear outside with you completely unharmed, much like Captain Bird should have appeared with you in Bruma.
We made it!
That would have been much easier, but let's just take them with us, healing and shielding them after every single battle and saving a lot. So as long as we get Farwell out, we'll become an honorary Knight of the Thorn.
I am hereby giving you the honorary title.
Congratulations. Now, when you return to the Count, you technically have to address the Wayward 9 quest before finishing 8 for Bruma, or else there'll be some sort of problem, but I had no issue with this, as the Count initiated the conversation, so maybe that's an old bug. Either way, we will get to choose between either the leveled Staff of Indaris, which causes shock and strength damage, or the leveled Thorn Blade, which disintegrates armor. As somewhat of an expert swordsman myself, I obviously chose the blade, and this is how it looks at its max level of 25. Of course, you will miss out on this if Farwell doesn't make it. If he dies in battle, on accident, you should bring his signet ring to his father, who will thank you for trying and give it back to you as a relatively useless keepsake, along with a petty leveled monetary reward. If it is not an accident, however, he will refuse to dialogue with you ever again, which softlocks the city home if you have not already bought it. So yeah. It also may earn you a visit from the representative of a local cult, but that's a separate episode. I think this also clearly means forfeiting the aid you would have received from Bruma, but
Huzzah!
Maybe worth it. Now it turns out that you do not need to report back to Cloud Ruler Temple, as Allies for Bruma quest will auto-complete after Defense for Bruma, which comes later. But I decided to head back anyway for our next quest, so sub if you want to stick around for that, and don't forget to efficiently level up this video.